back to another video. My name is Leia, if you are new here. Today we are going to be canning spaghetti sauce again, but I think I have found a much better recipe than the ones I was testing in the other video. It's my goal to do smaller batches of several different recipes this year so that we can figure out what our favorite batch is, and then we can hone in on exactly how many tomatoes we need to grow and that sort of thing for future recipes. My problem has been that all of the recipes that are from very credible sources seem to be very boring. And I've heard this complaint online before, and I was hesitant to branch out because obviously I want everything that I'm putting on our shelves to be extremely safe. However, I am starting to feel a little more brave with tomatoes because basically the name of the game is acidity. If you did not know, tomatoes are right on the edge of being acidic enough to water bath can. The reason I feel comfortable with the recipe that we are trying today is because I'm going to be adding citric acid to each jar. So that's 1 point for acidity. And then this recipe also calls for 4 cans of tomato paste, which is going to be very acidic. So we've got the tomatoes, of course, we've got the citric acid, and then the addition of the tomato paste. I think this is going to be just fine. So I'm very excited. It calls for onions and peppers, which we just picked fresh this morning from the garden. Lots of herbs, garlic, and interestingly, it calls for soy sauce. Who'd have thought? So we are gonna give this a go. I am modifying the recipe just a little bit. So I have 25 pounds of tomatoes here. These have come out of the freezer this morning and they've been thawing. They are ready to go through the food mill, which I have over here. Now the food mill is a change that I am making. The recipe assumes that you are starting with whole, fresh tomatoes, and they want you to boil them, blanch them, peel them, quarter them, that kind of stuff to break it down. But ultimately you're going to end up with a skinless puree. So I am just going to puree raw tomatoes into here. Hopefully this lip is not too risky. I don't know if I can get this closer. And then we're also going to shred up the peppers and the onions in a food processor. And then it's all gonna sit in here and it's going to simmer for 4 to 5 hours. In my last video, I was joking about how, or at least my last tomato video, I was joking about how I remember my Hungarian, like the men in my Hungarian side of the family, when I was a little girl, I remember them with like a cauldron of tomato, whatever. I don't know if they were making sauce or paste, but they would just cook it down for hours and hours and hours and then can all these jars. And so I was thinking, why do I not have a recipe like that, you know? So that's part of what drew me to this recipe. It seems pretty easy to assemble. We're gonna get it all simmering on the stove, or the hot plate rather. I'll show you the hot plate in a little bit. And then it's gonna simmer for 4 to 5 hours. Now I'm just going to put everything into this food mill. We're basically making passata. So basically we're just doing the tomato juice with the skins and the seeds and core removed. In hindsight, next year I will be using a smaller, I don't know what it's called, but the metal part where it has all the holes, like it's like the sieve or whatever, where everything comes through. I will be using a finer one next year, so I definitely get all of the seeds. Everything I made this year had quite a bit of seeds left over in it, and it's okay, but I can already tell that we would prefer to have no seeds at all. But having this little machine has been incredible, and I 100% am happy with this purchase. All right, we are getting cleaned up. My children helped and that made a comically large mess. So I just spent 10 minutes getting that in order. These are all the parts for the mill. They're all rinsed. I highly recommend rinsing that mill as soon as you possibly can. Oh dear, there's paper towel stuck with this. But otherwise it gets really hard to clean and it's just no good. Okay, here's my big pot. I have gotten better at canning math, but as I was making this, it occurred to me that I don't think I'm going to be able to water bath all of these in one batch, which is unfortunate. I'm probably gonna be canning until midnight unless I find a second water bather. I know there's ways you can make one, like this could even become a water bather, but I don't know. We'll see. Okay, so anyway, we've got this. This is freezing cold. These tomatoes were still very, very cold. So I'm gonna get this heating up while we prepare our peppers and onions and all of that. All right, now I'm gonna work on the peppers and the onions. This recipe does not give grams for those. It gives like estimates, I guess. So it calls for 5 medium onions and says that that is about 7 or 8 cups. I'm guessing that because they gave a range, it's not that particular. So I cannot find my cup measure. I'm not sure where it has gone to. I have lots of children, so that's my guess. But I'm just going to measure out in this liquid one. I know that that is not super proper at all, but that's gonna help give me an idea of how many onions I have. And then I'm also going to run them through the food processor. Maybe I will add some of the tomato mixture to help it blend up in there. Next year, I definitely want to make sure that we have onions in our garden. We grew some shallots this year, but we didn't worry about the onions. I thought that onions would not do well the first year in our clay soil, since they form underground, you know, but our shallots did fine. So maybe I could have tried it. I guess these don't really have to be chopped very fine because they're gonna go in the food processor anyway. You know, I don't know. Hopefully I have enough onions here. All right, that was just about the right amount of onions. I put half of them in here and then the other half here. I am just going to wipe off my cutting board because there's some peels on here. We'll do the peppers in a moment. First, I think I am going to take this on around here. First, I'm gonna work on getting these through the food processor. All right. I need to find somewhere good to put this. Let's see. There we go. Put that there. Okie dokie. Let's give this a go. Cool. Let's take it back. The hardest parts of this recipe are almost over. The rest is just easy stuff to throw in, like herbs. Okay. Okay, while I'm over here, before I go cut my peppers up, I am going to just add some puree in here for the peppers to go with. Here are the beautiful peppers. I love being able to go out into the garden and just pull these right off the stems. They were picked this morning. I am going to go through and get any bad spots off, and we can give those to the chickens. This is just a little, like right here, it's just a little withered, but only in that spot. So I'm just gonna chop that off. And one of these was actually pretty bad, yeah, this one. But I pulled it just so we could give it to the chickens. But that part is good. The recipe does call for, let's see, it's 4 red bells. Oh man, I think I thought it was 3 in 1. How many do I have here? 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, this is what we got. There's probably more out there, but I'm not gonna go back out right now to pick. Okay, let me get a bowl for the chickens. All of the puree, this is the, not puree, but the peels and seeds and whatnot from the mill landed in here. And the chickens love that. Okay. All right, I am going to pull this out. I usually chop out the, what do you call it? The stem and all of that. And then I usually run it under water real quick just to rinse those pepper seeds out. I don't think they would mess up your recipe at all, but I don't want them in there. As soon as we get this simmering, we will go give this bowl to the chickens. They just started laying, so we need to go back out and see if there are more eggs. They started yesterday. We haven't gotten any eggs today, but I have 17 ladies out there, 17 hens. So I would be surprised if we didn't get another egg today, but I suppose that could happen. Let me rinse these real quick. Okie dokie. I am just gonna give this a very rough chop and throw it on in here to get pureed. I suppose if you wanted even more flavor, you could roast these peppers, but that is more than I have time for in this season of life. All right, here we go. Oh, I've lost my lid. Hang on. I found it now. Now we're in business. You guys can't really see that, can you? I still see some decent chunks, so I think that would be weird in spaghetti sauce. So I'm gonna keep going. I'm a little bit skeptical of adding peppers into this sauce, but I'm trusting the process. And I love the idea of being able to utilize lots of fresh produce from the garden, not just tomatoes, and that way we have much more nutrition in our food. I am gonna give this one more good stir and turn it up a little bit more. It is really cold still. It's gonna take a long, long time. I've come down to my pantry. We're looking for tomato paste. I think it's back here. Yep. 1, 2, 3, 4. Everything's a little neglected down here. We've got all these canned goods stacking up, but that's okay because the focus has been on the garden. We will get this all under control as soon as it starts to get colder outside and we don't want to be out there as much. Now for all the fun, easy stuff. Whoops, I just lost a bay leaf. That's okay. 1 bay leaf, 2 bay leaf. You know what? Whenever I use bay leaves, I always double it because one time I bought a pound of bay leaves and I will never buy bay leaves again for the rest of my life because that's a lot. We've got salt going in. This is the Redmond real salt. We buy this in bulk from Azure. I make garlic pucks. I'm gonna put these in. We are going to be growing our own garlic again this fall and I cannot wait. Let's see, I wanna do everything dry before I start liquid stuff. All right, it calls for 3 tablespoons of dried oregano and 3 tablespoons of dried basil. My basil doesn't have a jar yet. I don't know why, but I've been too busy to care. We buy all of our herbs in these bulk packs from Azure. Basically everything. Next it calls for brown sugar. I don't know where my 3rd cup measure is either. Probably hanging out with my 1 cup measure. Lastly, we've got a 4th cup of soy sauce. I think I've heard of this before, but I haven't tried it. And then we've got 3 tablespoons of Worcestershire. This is probably my favorite sauce ever. I love it on steak. All right, and now all we have to do is stir it up, bring it to a simmer, and let it simmer for a long time. It is Friday here, and the kids are very excited to finish their school for the day so that they can watch a movie. We don't do TV during the week usually, so Fridays they get to watch a movie and they're very excited. Here's what it looks like after a couple of hours. Oh boy. I am popping in to stir it maybe every 20 minutes or so. It settles at the bottom and gets really thick down low, but it is starting to thicken up. You can kind of see the rings from where it has dropped. So we're just gonna keep letting this simmer for a little while. Now I'm going to get everything put into jars. These jars have been sitting in hot water in the clean side of the sink, and now we're just gonna fill them. We are putting hot into hot, and we're gonna make sure that we have the right amount of headspace for this recipe. And then perhaps most importantly, we are going to be adding a 1/4 teaspoon of citric acid to each jar, and this makes sure that the jars have enough acidity that they will not develop any botulism in there, and they will be safe. This is one of the things that made me feel really confident about the safety of this recipe, is this extra addition of acid to the jars. I did read online that some people really think that citric acid changes the flavor of their product and they prefer lemon juice. However, I kind of feel like lemon juice really changes the flavor of the product. And I don't really notice the citric acid as much. So there's definitely some personal preference here.